Hi there. The last gear video I did, I talked about using manual focus lenses with manual apertures on my Sony NAX6. I only have one such lens at the moment, and that is the 7.5mm fisheye from Seven Artisans. But as I said, I'm hoping to, over the next few months, get 3 other lenses, the sum total of which cost-wise would be less than one lens, one what I'll call normal lens, for either of my systems. So, what's that say about my photography? Well, that's a question that came to mind just after I made the video. Just after I made the video, I sat back and said, what is it about photography? What is it in photography that interests me? It has always been the gear. I'm an admitted gear junkie. However, I am drifting away from that. Over this past year, I have sold a tremendous amount of gear, and even given away one outfit, my A330 Sony I gave to my son. So, what do I have now? Well, I have my Olympus gear, my serious gear as I said, and I have the Sony. So why do I want these, cheesy little low-cost, all-manual lenses? Because I think I've gone from the gear to the process. I'm more interested now in the process of photography. That doesn't mean I don't want good results. That does not mean that I don't want to take good pictures. It just means that the process is more important to me. I even dug this out. Now, some of you may look at this and see the dome and automatically think, flash meter. No, this is not a flash meter. This is an incident light meter, just like the flash meters are, but this one doesn't meter flash. It just reads light. It's an old Minolta Autometer III. This dome right here is the incident light dome. So I don't point this at my subject. I point this where the light hitting the subject is coming from. So right now, where I'm sitting right here, if I were to turn this on and wait for it, it's a little slow, this is an older model, and I will set the ISO, or actually it says ASA, that'll tell you how old it is. I will set it at 400. I will then tell it to read the let me see, what do I do next? The time, 1/60th of a second. I'll leave that there and I'll see what f-stop it'll give me. Now, I'm set up. I point it this way because if I were going to take a picture of me, this is where the light hitting me is coming from. I push the button. It tells me f2.8. So at f2.8, 1/60th of a second, ISO 400, I should get a properly exposed image. Now, for those of you unaware, what's the advantage of this? This reads the actual light. When you use a reflected light meter, whatever mode, in the camera you're using, it's reading the light reflected. So if it's reading from here, it's seeing something dark, it's going to raise the exposure. It's going to allow in more light. If it were pointed right here where there is a brighter color, it would read that as needing less light and it would darken everything. Because it would try to make this gray, medium gray. It would try to make this medium gray, which of course I've gone well past medium gray now. The result is that you have to judge or you have to depend upon some sort of evaluative or matrix metering, which is really just a lookup table where it simply looks up the reading it's getting and saying, what does this match? And makes a guess based on that. So this has its place. Now, if I'm going to be using manual lenses with manual apertures, then of course I can set manual shutter speeds and fix my ISO at a reasonable value and use this to measure my light. So far I've tested this one against 2 other meters and it is still pretty accurate. There is also an attachment. I can remove this, and I have an attachment that lets it act as a spot meter. So, you know, you've got two, well actually three. There's another attachment just for a regular reflected light meter. It's got a lot of flexibility. So this may be my companion when I get into those lenses. So, the process. By dealing with things like that now, by using devices that are, as some would put it, antiquated, I think what I'm going to end up with is more of an appreciation for getting the right image. Remember, exposure is not an absolute. There is no such thing as a perfect exposure. It's the exposure that suits your purpose. And as a result, whatever method I use, I will evaluate my images after the fact and see what works best for me. A few people online, such as, let me see, people like Thomas Heaton, who does landscape photography, and the metering system that he uses. I've been watching some of his videos to take a look at that. Sean Tucker, in particular, his talk about basically exposing for the highlights and letting the shadows fall has produced some interesting images, many in kind of the look that you would see from one of the older photographers like Fan Ho. These are all things that I'd like to experiment with, and I think looking at metering differently, measuring light differently, might be the first step in appreciating exactly what I'm getting in a scene more than I'm doing right now. Anyhow, guys, I know this was a little rambly and not very focused, pardon the pun. But the point is, I am at a point, and I have always been really, at a point where I'm always reevaluating what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And in this case, I think I'm going off on a different tangent just to see where it leads me. And if it turns out to be a dead end, I haven't invested a tremendous amount of money, and I still have a more traditional kit of fast zooms and equally capable camera bodies to fall back on. All right. If you like this video, give me a like. If you want to see more of my videos, then of course, subscribe to this channel. And maybe you think anybody else is in that contemplative mood and wants to reevaluate their view of the world, send them over, share this video. Maybe they'll get something from it, maybe not. Well, bye for now.